I just finished an excellent video on brain scans. I thought I would come on here and do a video on chronic guilt. In depth, straight to the point of why you're stuck and what that feels like. I lived with 24/7 chronic guilt for years, okay? And it felt like my nervous system was attacking itself in this self-defeating loop, that I was held hostage internally to that process. So I was being beaten by guilt and my nervous system with anything it could throw, any anxiety, physical symptom whatsoever. And then that vice-like grip was both mental and physical, and I was in that 24/7 with only fragments of freedom when I was distracted. And then upon realizing I'd been distracted, straight back into the vice-like grip with an additional pull, because I felt like you shouldn't even let yourself off for a millisecond. You should feel extra guilty now. Turned up when I went on holiday because I wanted to enjoy myself. You must not enjoy yourself at all. You should feel even worse. And so that cycle was going back and forth with a very, very tight grip around any moments of enjoyment. Now, all of that came from one particular belief. If I had done X in the past, X should then be dealt with anxiety 24/7 for the rest of my life. And I didn't even know if I'd done X, right? And that X would constantly morph, would change, would shift. And I was convinced that X was 100% true at all times. Whenever it morphed, that was then 100% true at all times. And I should experience the outcome, guilt, internal torturous nervous system cycle of any type of thing that feels horrible. And that should go on forever, because X is completely unforgivable and only chronic guilt should be warranted. Chronic guilt is warranted. Chronic guilt is never warranted. You'd never self-torturous, never would you inflict on somebody else with so limited compassion what you would on yourself because of those beliefs that you hold so strongly. If I did X, that is totally unforgivable and I should feel ... forever. Now, for years, all through history, humans will have suffered when they had OCD in this way. Only in recent times, last 10 years or so, OCD recovery was becoming more accessible to human beings as we started to understand how to recover. And it has a long way to go. To get it out the dark, it's got a long way to go. And I thought I would never get out of that cycle. Every holiday, I'm currently here in Madrid at the moment for a week, and every holiday I used to go on, the cycle would turn up. The intensity would turn up. I avoided holidays. Why would I want to feel worse at a time when I could avoid that and just stay at home? If I go away for a vacation, it's ruined by the chronic guilt, so I might as well avoid the trip. Well, why did it do that? The same as when you're ill, sometimes it's not as bad because the OCD knows that you already feel crap. Why does it need to turn it up more? Sometimes when you're ill, it turns it up more to give a double whammy, but just depends how it's operate as you sort of go between that bouncing up and down cycle of peaks and troughs when you're in the throes of it. Today, I don't experience any chronic guilt. None. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in chronic guilt. Now, that's not like the social media nonsense posts that you see today, which is like, if you don't believe in depression, you won't have depression. Complete, total junk by somebody who does not, by anyone who does not understand depression. The reality is, when I got rid of the beliefs, not just threw them away, because you can't do that, but demonstrated to my brain that I deserve compassion, that I can have compassion for myself in all outcomes, that I am a human being, and that a human being can make mistakes and errors, and I can choose to accept myself. I can choose to accept myself unconditionally, and it makes sense. It's not just a choice made, thrown around, just choose for no reason. It makes sense when you see it realistically. If you had a son or daughter and they did what you think that you may have done, you'd have compassion and unconditional love for them, but not for yourself. For yourself, you are going about beating yourself over the head in a self-torturous cycle. Now, humans will do that naturally. Most humans think very irrationally. Most famous humans often think very irrationally. Why? Often their irrational beliefs have got them so far by a self-driven, angry drive to get to the top. And then humans look and think, but they treat themselves like that and they're very successful. Yeah, do you want to feel shit? Do you want to feel crap? It's like when people send me angry influencers and they say like, oh my God, this guy's so amazing. Look at all his stuff. And everything just appeared so angry and hate for the world, right? There's one thing being direct. There's one thing going through bullet point like tone of things that you're trying to break down. But anger at things over and over is certainly of no influential benefit that I want to adopt. And that very much becomes the case when you start thinking of OCD and self-compassion. Self-compassion is rejected by the masses. They would rather adopt self-critical beliefs that drive them further and often drive themselves into the ground. You can be driven but compassionate. People think, oh, but being driven and anger and all of that, you will lose that if you're self-compassionate. No, I'm very driven, but I'm driven with compassion for myself. I don't want to self-torture myself. I want to improve my life, as should all humans want to improve their life. Everyone wants to improve their life, but not at the expense of self-torturous cycles that keep me mentally locked and trapped 24/7. Chronic guilt is a self-torturous cycle that doesn't give over. No matter how much you try and prove to the brain, that was rare, that was a 0.01%. OCD don't give a fuck about 0.001%. It wants 0%. And 0% is unachievable. If I said right now in front of you, there is a form that demonstrates that on that, you definitely didn't do what you think. What do you think you're going to think? The form's wrong. That's just one way it's going to morph. It is looking for every way to morph around and get a grip to trick you, to trap you, to keep you locked for the rest of your life. Think about how you were all through your life. You never had compassion for yourself. At school, you were told you failed. You were told other kids maybe picked on you. There wasn't compassion 24/7. But you can choose to give that to yourself and break that cycle of society's uncompassionate, critical way of judging you 24/7 throughout your life can change right now by learning to look at yourself as you would your son and daughter and have compassion for yourself, love for yourself. Regardless if you make mistakes again and again, you will work to improve them, but you will not write yourself off. That is the goal. That is what is going to get you better from chronic harm OCD. And you can get back to baseline peace with practice, persistence, and time.